Welcome, Vinay. So thanks a lot, Vinay. And can you share a bit about your journey, how it had been?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chaitanya. Thanks a lot for inviting me to share in your podcast channel. So my journey, okay, it's quite interesting journey because I never thought I'll be doing all this before. So if you ask any of my college friends who has been with me in my engineering, right? Probably nobody, even including me, remotely thought I'll be sitting and talking about yoga now. So it all happened accidentally, I would say, because I was very much into mountaineering and all those things after my college. Apart from that, I also had a desk job. So I was working in a company, a corporate company. So because of this, I had a severe issue with my back pain. So I had a lot of issues with my back, and my mentoring teacher is the one who recommended me to go and practice yoga. So he just told me that probably if you go to yoga, then you'll heal your back, and then you can continue with your hobby of mountaineering. So that was the trigger for me to get into yoga.
Okay.
So and then I just got into yoga. Within 2 months it felt really good, and then I initially continued with the fear that if I stop I'll get back pain again.
Okay.
So and then it continued to study more about how it worked for me, because I'm from a science background, so I like to understand the logic of everything.
Correct.
So then when something worked for me, I was like curious to know how it worked. So and that's exactly what led me to study from different teachers and studied anatomy, physiology, philosophy, and all of these things. And this was going on. My first teacher who was teaching yoga, he noticed all these things and he prompted me to start teaching yoga.
Okay. Okay.
So and that's how it happened. And yeah, I just took my first trial teaching class almost 10 years back.
Oh, great.
So he just told me to take a trial for 1 month of teaching.
Okay.
So I just thought, okay, let me try for 1 month and see how it goes. And that trial happened almost 10 years back now, and since then I'm teaching. And I did my certifications afterwards, much after started teaching. So because for everyone they do certification first, then they start teaching.
True.
So for me, I was teaching first and then the certification came later.
Vinay, my next question is moving from a high-paid corporate job and choosing yoga. What helped you to take that decision, or was it tough, or was it easy to take that decision?
Actually, I took this decision in I would say in two phases. Because first time when I quit my Intel job, I almost thought for 1 year. It was really hard because it was quite a good job, because anybody would have dreamed to work in a company like Intel. So and I was working there, and it took me 1 year to make the decision. But then thinking for 1 year made me take an overnight decision. So one fine day I just thought, like, this is done, I just can't handle anymore. But I was not sure how I will do in yoga also. I was not very clear about it, but I just took that initial decision, and then I ventured into it for almost 1 year, 3 months, and only to realize that it is not so rosy outside. So because when I started teaching close to my when I started teaching yoga after my Intel, like quitting my Intel job, then I was roaming around here and there. Like I was running from house to house to take classes, and it was not easy. So that's when I decided I need to have my own place for teaching yoga, and then I started teaching close to my house.
Okay.
So and even that was not working out. So when eventually in 1 year, 3 months, the finances was not working out well. So although the passion is there, but when the finances is not there, you can't pursue the passion the way you want. So that led me to the corporate job again. So I went back to the corporate for another 4 5 years. So but then I was much prepared now, like I know what I need to do for next 5 years. So I need to make all the money required so that I can have my own center, so I'll be more set when I quit the job next time. So and after 6 5 6 years, and again last 2 years back I quit my job, but this time I was much more prepared. So because I had a center and had a lot of students coming to the classes, so I had to choose to continue whether to choose in corporate job or whether it should be yoga. So when that choice came, and then it was much more easier, because by then I was even married also. So that made the decision even more easier to take. So before, when I quit my job first time, I was not married, and my even my partner had to agree to all these decisions. But second time it was much easier, even she supported, and even my family were also okay with it. Because first time they were all a little paranoid, what's happening, and you're not married and you're still young and you quit a good high paid job and you're running around here and there. But second time I was much prepared and everybody supported second time.
That's
So it
great.
was not much of an issue.
Great, great to know. Because family support plays a vital role, Vinay. Because if that support is there, and you are that confidence within you to that you can do that, then nothing like that. You can go and move ahead. So,
Very true.
Vinay, I think during this tenure, as when you told 2007 till whatever 2019 when you started Yoga Vignan, so there was a lot of investment which you did for yourself. Can you share about more about that? What?
Okay, so first of all, the Yoga Vigdana was started much before 2019. It was
Okay.
actually started in 2012 itself. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so the way it happened is, yeah, you are definitely right. There is a lot of learning that we need to go through.
Mm.
And when I quit my first job, there's a very famous speech by Steve Jobs in Stanford University where he says you cannot connect the dots
Just looking
uh,
forward.
looking forward. You can connect them only looking backward,
True.
and that really made sense to me. So
Mm.
because I was getting into all the things which I was finding it interesting.
Ah,
So I was not even thinking whether I'll be teaching yoga in the future, but I was pursuing anatomy physiology courses, and I was not sure where it will be used. But I just thought it will be good to know something deeper about yoga, so I just went into that. And then I just that prepared me very well to understand about the human body in terms of medical perspective. Then
mm.
without knowing, I started spending weekends on learning philosophy with a good friend of mine. So and that went on for some years. So and this was going on. And also I even realized that I was not very good at managing the business and the finances and all those things. So I had to pick up some small skills here and there. So to learn all this, and even when I started my own uh, Yoga Vijnana in 2012, even poster designs I had to make. So and
Yeah.
I was because I cannot afford to have a person to make it for me.
Correct.
So as simple as that, right? Because and that poster designing I didn't learn for that perspective, but almost 3 4 years back I was into photography also. So when I was into
Okay.
photography, I learned all this Photoshop and photo editing and all that because I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, but when I was doing yoga, when I started yoga, all these made sense to me at that point of time. So, and that I started using it in my in yoga vijnana. So, and finally, after teaching it for 1.5 years, I realized I had to become a certified teacher. So,
Mm.
I just told you, right? I was not a certified teacher when I started teaching.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
and then because I wanted to go and teach in a corporate,
Mm.
and they asked for certification. So that's when I did actually officially my first teacher certification. So and after that I realized that yoga teaching is not just about one certificate. It's a lifelong learning, and you have to constantly keep learning, year after year, or like regularly, I would say. Every day
Correct.
you should learn something new.
Correct.
So that learning even now continues, because recently I finished my master's degree in yoga.
Mm.
So because which I thought when I am going full time into this, I better well go deeper into yoga as well.
Correct.
So that's what made me get into master's degree, and then I did my 500 hour certification course from Yoga Alliance. So and yeah, I did a lot of therapy studies to become a therapist. So I did learn from different Iyengar yoga teachers how to heal a person when it comes to you, and what all different kind of therapies you need to uh, how do you do a yoga therapy itself. So all this I just picked up slowly as and when I started going, and it's still not done, I would say, because every day even now I spend a lot of time learning. So I have this policy, right, where you just have to balance your teaching and learning equally, because if you're
Okay.
always focusing on teaching, after a point you reach saturation, you can't
Correct.
continue further.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to have a learning path and a teaching path. Both should go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I always, even now, I make sure that at least a couple of hours in a day I spend time for my own self learning, self growth,
Yeah.
something book, either reading a book or watching something on the YouTube. So I
Mm.
make sure that, or reading research papers, I just keep spending time even now, at least 2 hours in a day.
So I also agree completely, Vinay, because self-education is it's an ongoing process. It's like until we are there, it has to go there because as you told, teaching will become saturation if you don't learn, if you're not
Yeah,
learning by yourself, right? And yeah, it's great to know about your that self-education journey, Vinay. So Vinay,
nice, thank you.
my next question is, I think most of the listeners would be knowing, but for the people, those who don't know what is yoga and why yoga is very important for a person. So if you
Mhm.
can just tell about a brief history about it and why yoga.
See, one thing that nowadays, when you hear the word yoga, right? So what many people think is it's an asana practice.
Yeah.
It involves some twisting, turning, bending here and there. And in fact, that is not what is yoga. Okay. So yoga was meant to be a system to to calm your mind, basically.
Mm.
So that was the intention of defining the science of yoga itself. So it was just a system to calm the mind or to work on controlling your mind.
Mm.
But eventually it so happened that people started looking at, or they started getting hooked on to the external aspect of it, and that's how the asanas became popular.
Mm.
So even this asanas was defined in a way to calm your mind. Say for example, just to make it easier to understand, whenever you're sick or if you have a pain, back pain or anything, right, you can't work efficiently on that day
Correct.
because your mind is disturbed. So, and that's how it is. So your body is extremely important for you to keep your mind calm. If you have a healthy body, then your mind is calmer, so that and you can just focus and you can be more productive in what you want to do. And so in that aspect, these asanas also come into picture. So in order to make your body physically strong, so that your mind is not disturbed. But the entire system of yoga is much deeper than that. So it involves it is very when the Patanjali, or who is called as a father of modern yoga,
Mm.
so when he defined this entire system of Ashtanga yoga for the beginners,
Mm.
so he just went on to say, from the discipline that you have to follow, like self discipline, social disciplines that you have to follow for yourself.
Mm.
Because if you don't follow a social discipline, say for example violence
Mm.
or non-violence, so if you don't follow non-violence and if you're always violent in your mind, then you can't keep your mind calm. So it starts from there, and it goes on to say that you have to keep your body calm, so your body healthy, and then you have to observe your breath, so that moment you be aware of your breath, your mind calms down.
Mm.
And then he goes on to say you have to withdraw your senses, because our senses is the one which feeds us a lot of input to your mind. And if it is
Okay.
feeding the right input, then your mind is more healthier. And if it is feeding wrong input, then your mind is disturbed.
Correct.
So
So
that's why he
you
said,
now you told withdraw the senses. Oh, can you just tell more about it? Because I also wanted to know how one can withdraw the senses.
very interesting. So I'll give you probably a easier way to understand this concept, right?
Mm.
Say for example, imagine that you are right now talking to me, and or you're working in your system and you're totally into that work that you're doing. And then what happens when somebody calls you, you can't hear what they're saying. It has happened to most of us, right? We are totally in
Yeah.
the work and we can't hear what's happening there.
Yeah.
Now if you look at the logic here, right, whenever somebody speaks or utters a word, the air particle will vibrate. It's a physical media. And when that air particle vibrates, the sound will come and fall on your eardrums.
Yeah.
Even that's a physical media, even that eardrum will vibrate. Now when the eardrum vibrates, there is a nerve which goes to your brain. Even that is carrying the signal to your brain. And now the magic happens there. Now all this extra input that is coming to the brain, it doesn't get processed at all. It is just lost. And that's why you're not aware of somebody calling you.
Correct.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And this whole process of how you're cutting down all the inputs from outside, so that you're within yourself, so that you can focus on the thought which is there inside you. And this is what exactly is the state of pratyahara, where you're kind of cutting down all your external thoughts or external sensory inputs, so which is
Mm.
going outwardly in general, so that you can focus on something which is there within you already. Because yoga is an inward journey. It is not something which I already said, right? It is not a physical action where you just go and show off. It is just to be with yourself.
Also, you were sharing about breathing, Vinay. So, what's the importance of breathing and how using that? Because I also practice certain breathing techniques. So, how it helps a person to stay in that what people say flow state, or in being in the present moment, or whatever it is. Does it? How
Mhm.
it actually helps a person
Okay.
breathing?
So when the Patanjali defined the system of pranayama, or the breathing technique,
Mm.
right? See, pranayama is loosely considered as a breathing technique. In fact, pranayama is much more subtler than that. But let us consider that way for now, because that's a common understanding.
Yeah.
So if you are aware of your breath at any point in your day,
Mm.
so the moment your mind is disturbed, your breath also is disturbed. And that's how closely your mind and your breath is connected. Just to give an example, just imagine that you are angry, or you are scared of some situation. Then during those situations, what happens to your breath? Your breath naturally becomes faster. You're like
Yeah.
panting and all of those things. And if you are in a situation which is more calmer, quieter, nicer, then your breath also slows down. So your breath is actually a reflection of your mind. So how the state of your mind is. Or if you reverse it, the way you breathe can actually calm the mind or disturb the mind. Okay, and that's the kind of a power of, or the connection that is there with your, between your breath and your mind. So in pranayama, they're trying to use this connection in a way that the moment you're aware of your breath, your mind calms down. And if you slow down your breath, your thought pattern slows down. And if you stop your breath, your mind stops. Okay, that's a kind of a way that I've tried to go deeper into the aspect of breath itself.
Very nice. I mean, I like that your breath is the reflection of your mind, and it's vice versa, in fact.
It's both true, both ways actually.
Yeah.
Both ways it's true actually. When your breath is disturbed, mind is disturbed. When your mind is calmer, breath is calmer, something like that.
Yeah. So, can you share something about the meditation? Because now, as you were telling about breath, and also, what is meditation? So sometimes people tell just observe your breath. Sometimes people tell just close your eyes and sit. So,
Mhm.
what according to you is meditation, and how does it help a person?
Okay, even the meditation, the way it is understood nowadays is you just close your eyes and sit there and observe, and everything will be fine in 5 minutes.
Mm.
So it will not be fine in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because I've seen even if many of us sit and try to do it in 10 minutes, right? You can't even observe the breath for 10 minutes. It's so hard
Yeah.
because your mind keeps on going everywhere.
Mm.
So, and that's why you need an object to focus on for some time. So that object that you choose can be anything. You can choose your breath as an object, or you can just choose an idol as an object, or you can just choose some mantra as an object, whatever it is. But when you are trying to choose an object and you are putting an effort to be with the object, and that is the starting of your meditation, I would say. It's not a meditation itself, it is just a starting of meditation. So what exactly you're doing is you're putting all your effort to focus on some object. When this process of focusing on object becomes an effortless practice, so where you are not putting any effort to be with the object, when you attain that state, that is meditation. So it's like a very simple thing way to say it is, you're focusing your camera. You take a camera and you keep focusing on something, and that focusing is an effort that you put.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ultimately what comes out of that effort is a very crystal clear image.
That's true.
So
Mm.
meditation is a byproduct. It's not something that you try to do.
Mm.
So many of the times I hear people saying, I want to meditate, I want to meditate. So meditation is something which happens when you're trying to focus on something.
Yeah.
So it's a byproduct that you get by your effort in doing something. And that's exactly what is meditation.
So, Vinay, is there any connectivity between being in present moment and the creativity? Because most I've heard or I've heard from people and read in books also, the more you're in the present moment, you will be
Mhm,
more creative and the ideas will start coming to you. So,
mhm.
how does that work?
Okay, so see, when you are much calmer, we all have something called intuitions,
Mm.
which keeps coming and directing us what we need to do. So but we are so busy in the world that we are always doing something, and we don't allow these feelings to come and express itself. We're just kind of snubbing that as and when it comes. We are not even aware of it. And we're either always thinking about the future. Most of us are, right, always thinking about what we need to do in the future, what happens, what will happen to my life, or what will happen to my career, and all of those thought process.
Mm.
So when you're always in the future, you miss this entire aspect of how you can spontaneously live your life.
Yeah.
So because creativity is what happens spontaneously. Creativity is not something which you plan, and I'll just sit and plan, I'll become creative today. And for that to happen spontaneously, you have to calm yourself first, because all these creativity, the spontaneity erupts when your mind is calmer. So that's why you should first focus on calming your mind and bringing it to a still, and that happens only in the moment.
No.
So as long when you're in the moment, your mind is absolutely calm, and then you're creating a space for that spontaneity to arise.
Correct.
So when the spontaneity comes out and it overflows, that's kind of creativity you are, how creative you are.
Yeah. So, Vinay, my next question is like, is there any kind of advice you would love to give to the audiences? Because due to pandemic and this situation, I think you know that there's so much of restlessness among people here, and not more than restlessness, people are getting into that stress level, taking is
True.
watching all this unwanted news, the forward, seeing that, and one thing is they're getting into the fear zone, and in turn, it's getting into stress. And what
Mhm.
is that you would recommend them to do at this point of time when it comes to handle this situation? And the second is like if they have to improve their immunity, so what is that
Mhm.
they can do?
See, one thing is that nowadays there's a lot of information available everywhere,
Mm,
and there's a lot of overload of information, I would say. So,
mm,
particularly in the media and whatever we are seeing, right?
mm,
And I've seen people constantly following what's happening.
mm,
So, which is also not recommended. The
mm,
first thing, because that builds up more to your stress.
mm,
So you constantly always onto the TV just to know how many cases are going on. Once in a while to get an update, it's fine.
mm,
But if you're always in the mode of constantly knowing what's happening, how many cases, where cases are
mm,
coming, and all that, it adds up to your stress. So rather, you just make it once in a day activity, just for 5 minutes whenever you want to get the update of what's happening, and focus the rest of your part on the job that you're supposed to be doing. So in
correct.
that way, your mind is taken off from the situation, and you're at least focused on something which is more
Mm,
productive.
correct. Mm,
And that is one thing. And apart from that, there are a lot of practices that one can do, because see, in this scenario we can do the best that we can in what is there in our hand.
mm,
If it goes out of control, and if we get COVID, we can't do much. We just have to follow the doctor's advice. But
mm,
before that, we can at least take utmost precautions.
correct.
So some of the things that recently we were suggesting everybody to start practicing Brahmari pranayama.
Mm,
So which we have released the video on our YouTube channel, so where we explain the importance of Brahmari pranayama
mm,
based on the research which has been done in the last few years.
correct.
So because there is a research which has been done saying that the practice of Brahmari pranayama is going to increase the nitric oxide in our nasal passages.
Yeah.
And there's also a research which says that the increase in nitric oxide is going to protect you from all these viruses and parasites and everything.
Okay.
So that is one thing which is also been prone, that just chanting a humming sound
Mm,
is going to be very effective for us to take care of ourselves during this time. So this is one practice I would recommend everybody to start doing it, at least like once or twice in a day whenever they get time, 5-10 minutes a day at least, so that at least they are doing their best what they can do from their side. And also uh, now it's sometimes even people ask me, can you just teach me something which boosts immunity? So immunity is something which is not built all of a sudden.
yeah.
So now I always tell people, right, we are already in the battle, and when we're in the battle, we can't prepare for the battle. We
Yeah.
just have to fight it out with whatever the harms and ammunitions we have got.
Correct.
So right now our immune system is something which is a byproduct of whatever has happened in the past.
Mm,
So even if you can start changing right now, we can still do a great deal of adding negativity to our system. So some things that we can take care is at least having a good sattvic food. So instead of having all the junk food and everything which constantly depletes our immune system,
mm,
we can focus on eating good right food. So that is something which we can do, and most of the people are at home. They're not even going outside to eat food. That is something which is still in our hand.
mm,
So having a healthy food every day, home cooked food, which
mm.
is something which is going to do a great deal to improve our systems. And apart from that, the regular practice of pranayama, yoga practice. See, again, yoga practice, as I said, right, is main focus of yoga is to calm the mind.
Correct.
That's the intention of yoga practice.
Mm,
And when in the process of calming the mind, rest everything comes as a byproduct of it.
mm,
So even your immune system, a lot of your energy is spent unnecessarily in processing some unnecessary thoughts itself, because
true.
your energy is going in processing your thoughts. But if you cut down those extra energy there, you can put that energy in healing yourself.
Correct.
So, and that extra energy which you put back to your system is definitely going to do a great deal in improving your immune system.
Correct.
So this is one more thing that people can do sitting at home. So where they have to eat home food nowadays.
Mm,
So and regular practice of asana, because there are a lot of asanas which will work directly on your immune system. So and the regular practice of yoga is also going to be very good for them.
okay. So,
And particularly some people ask me about improving the lung capacity and breathing and all of those things.
Mm.
So in yoga, there's a lot of things are covered already. So yoga actually different postures affects your different parts of your lungs and your breathing in different ways. And also the practice of pranayama is going to a great deal in improve your breathing and lung capacity. So because now that this particular virus affects directly our lungs,
Yeah.
so we need to be practicing all these practices regularly so that we can at least stay as healthy as possible to the best of our knowledge right now what we have. So probably these are some things which I would advise
Yeah.
people.
It's
This
a,
main thing is Brahmari Pranayama. Every day we have to start practicing the practice of Brahmari Pranayama, so which is
yeah.
also going to be very going to do a great deal in helping us in this situation.
Okay. To the listeners, I would be sharing Vinay's YouTube video, which where he has showed how to do Brahmari Pranayama. So please do follow that. And next question is with the aspect of business. If a person is very enthused, see, as your journey was majorly you had a back pain and you got into yoga, and that's how you started enjoying it and you continued it. But if a person is already enthused or passionate about doing yoga, pursuing yoga as their career or as a business, what was the suggestion you would love to give to them? How they can
Okay,
start and where they can start?
all right. So see, nowadays becoming yoga teacher has become very easy. So everybody, there's a 1 month course. You finish a 1 month course and you're a certified teacher after that, and it is as easy as that. Because I don't think any education you can just get a certificate in 1 month,
Mm,
and except yoga. But having said that, it is doesn't mean that by 1 month you're a full-fledged professional teacher kind of a thing. So
mm,
it's like getting a license. You have a license for the car, but you're not an experienced driver unless you start driving it
true.
on a regular basis. That's how it is.
Correct.
So even the same thing with respect to yoga teachers also. Getting a license to teach is one thing, and practicing more so that your conviction is there. Your teaching is different thing, because that comes through a regular practice.
Mm,
So what I would suggest is for those who want to become a teacher, first they want to become very serious about their practice, so that they can't leave a single day without practicing. So when they are becoming serious about their practice, then there is a natural progression that they'll go to become a yoga teacher.
mm,
So because a lot of times people ask me, I want to become a yoga teacher, when they have not even entered yoga class, because they look at the business aspect, which is very good. But still, I think this is the first thing, because whenever we are teaching anything, right, as long as we don't practice it, whatever we try to share, it doesn't come with that conviction.
correct.
We just share, and people can make out that this
Mm,
person is not doing it.
correct.
Okay, that's so easily evident when you speak to the person who is not practicing it.
Yeah.
So, and that's why having a regular practice is extremely important, the first thing.
Mm,
And then once you become a teacher, definitely there are a lot of teachers in the market. Making a business for yourself is not easy in the current scenario. It's a challenge in itself. So it takes time. Definitely it takes many years to even establish yourself. So initially you may not have to look for financial aspects. So because financial will come little later, first you have to learn the subject as deep as you can, so that, and you start delivering the subject in a convincing way. So because even for my own experience, right, almost for 3 to 4 years I was putting money to teach yoga from my own
mm,
pocket. I was not looking for money from the yoga perspective, because at that time I was working anyway. But
correct.
still, I was not looking at it as a way that I could get money from yoga.
Mm,
So because I used to pay from my own pocket to go and teach a class, because I was getting less than I was spending for the classes.
mm,
So, but over a period of time, it changed.
mm,
So once you start getting into the practice and teaching more and more, taking more classes, then you'll grow your own community. Like a lot of people will know that you are genuinely teaching what you practice. So when this happens, then naturally your growth will be much faster. But it takes time, so you need to have a lot of patience for that. Actually, it doesn't something which happens overnight.
correct. So, is there only one way because becoming a yoga teacher, or is there any different ways where they can get into this business, Vinay?
See, there are different avenues of again, everyone has their own core strength.
Mm,
Some people are good at corporate, and definitely there are some people can do workshops, and different workshops they can conduct, and
mm,
they can set up their own studio. But that is something which is not easy
yeah.
unless you are somewhat established it is not easy to have your own studio and people you expect people to come to you, but it takes time to settle down.
Mm.
So because the investment is also quite huge when you want to set up your own studio and start teaching there. So the easiest way to start teaching is probably you can start teaching in an apartment
Okay.
or in a sports complex, in gyms. So or you can just start teaching in somebody's houses as a private classes. Even that is what
Okay.
most of the people do. They
Okay.
visit house and take classes and come back
Mm.
privately. So that is one of the ways of looking for it. Or you can even just start lecturing in different places,
Got it.
and in case if you have most education background related to yoga,
Mm.
so you can even become a assistant professor or some faculty in some institutes, or you
Okay.
can become a therapist itself and yoga therapist in some centers. Even a lot of hospitals have an option where they hire the yoga therapist, like
Okay.
Nimans and like the big hospitals, right? So they have
Mm.
a separate wing for yoga therapy itself. So you
Okay.
can just actually get a job of teaching in that kind of institutes also. So
Okay.
or any hospitals nowadays are encouraging yoga,
Mm.
so one can even get into a hospital to become a yoga therapist in a hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are like different options are there.
So there are
So
different things which you told. I was thinking just as a yoga teacher or the studio was there, and as a, I mean I knew about okay workshops can be conducted, yeah. But again, a lot of options which you shared. It's like more because if the person is really interested in doing something with in this line, I think they will find out there. As you told, each individual's core strength is different. So based
true,
on that, they have to figure out actually what exactly which suits them, and they can pursue that.
very
Right.
true, very true.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is that you want to be known as, Vinay?
I just want to be known as a yoga teacher only, nothing more than that. So no fancy ideas for me. I just practice yoga and I teach yoga, and if people know me for being a good yoga teacher, that's enough for me. So because when I just sometimes I tell this, probably it may be an exaggeration. Even if it is the last day today, I would rather be happy teaching yoga class. So and I don't want to be anything else other than that.
Great, great, very simple. Sometimes simple things are the very profound. I can tell. Like, I mean, people can
Yeah.
relate and connect to that those things. So, any final message to my audience?
All right. So don't get tensed in this current scenario, because situation is definitely worrying. So, but the more worried you are, the more internally your body system is negatively impacted, and that is going to be creating a ecosystem for more infections and more trouble to happen. So, unless you have a very calm mind and a healthy mind, naturally you have a healthy body. So and that's what I want to say, don't get tense too much. You just do your job what is required. So you just keep focusing on your own practices and do your best to prevent yourself from the current scenario. So but don't put your mind too much into that, because if your mind is worried by that, then you are not in a very good shape. You'll invite disease actually.
Very nice.
And you're thinking about more and more about it.
Correct. It's very nice, and it was really wonderful insights from you, Vinay. I think there are a lot of things, as I was just sharing with you before we could start. Also, though I was practicing, but there are some sort of the way we look at things is totally different when we hear from the actual expert. So you are been in this industry for more than 10 years, and you know in and out of what is yoga and how it. I mean, how it is going to impact a person's life. I know it's a long journey, but yeah, it's a very beautiful journey of yours, what I could share, Vinay. And really, I would like to thank you for giving your time for this podcast.
Thank you so much, Etna. Thanks a lot for inviting me for this session. Thank you so much.